6:59. It's Christy with Exceptional Home Team. I want to thank you for being here. Everybody who's already logged in, we'll be getting more people logging in over the first couple minutes here. So while I click and look for all my notes, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for registering. Thank you for putting it on your calendar and taking time out of your day. So it is exactly 7 o'clock. Meetings that start on time, end on time, I always say, and so I'm going to start this on time. So I will be recording it. So if something happens during the thing and you are away, just know that we'll be sending out the recording afterwards. If you have any questions during, please raise your hand or use the Q&A section. I'll do my best to watch those while I'm talking. I will end up sharing the screen with you so you can watch some of the details that are put together for you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and present from the beginning here and get this started. So I'm going to screen share. Let me know if you need anything. I'm going to have a glass of water with me. I'll stop occasionally to breathe, but if you've taken any of my workshops before, you know that I move pretty fast, especially when I'm just talking to myself. So if you need me to slow down, please let me know right away. I will do my best to make this as action-packed and as informed as possible so that you can make sure that your time is worthwhile being here tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to line this up so I can still see me and I can see everything else. And I think I've closed my little pocket, but oh, there I am. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Christy Kimbrell. Ignore the tabs at the top here. This is just the easiest way for me to present here, and it's somewhat my to-do list. So that's how I stay organized, and it is what it is. So we're going to start talking today about how to buy and sell your house at the same time. I run these workshops every couple weeks, and topics. So thank you for being here. There's one every other Tuesday. 7. They're always free. I'm happy to have you share the information, invite someone else if you think they could get value from it, and we'll go ahead and get started. So my company is the Exceptional Home Team. I'm a licensed realtor with Keller Williams, and I run a team. It's sometimes a big team, and right now it's a small team. I've just prioritized into getting back in and being face-to-face with the client, which is what I love the most. And so instead of training agents, I'm spending time just helping people, and it's truly been a blessing. So those are some of the changes my team has made. And so we're just 3 agents and 4 admin. We're a little admin heavy because we have a superior, I think, commitment to excellence and making sure that our clients get what they need. So our mission is to ensure that everyone knows their real estate goal is our #1 priority. We want to leave a legacy where our contribution is greater than the impact or just the number of homes sold, so that we can have a greater impact on the community. So we often will run events where we're doing food drives or school drives, with school supplies and things like that, so that we can give back to the community that supports our business. And we're just really about connecting people. So our attitude is gratitude, or our values are gratitude, attitude, and giving. And that's what you can expect from if you decide to work with anyone, me or someone from my team. So we'll just kind of go right into it. So our goal is to provide you with the options on how to buy and sell at your comfort level. So I'm going to explain, the 4 traditional ways, and I will mix in some of the things that we're seeing in this hot market and what you might be able to see as far as ideas of how we can battle some of the multiple offer situation, or you worrying about maybe not having a house to move to. So we'll get to that as well. So we're going to talk about the 4 ways to buy and sell in a hot market. We've got a conservative approach, the least hassle, most expensive approach, our low risk, low hassle approach, and for the risk tolerant. The risk tolerant, or it's for a hot market. And so because right now, even in a hot market, I think that we've got some opportunity to be able to take on some really ourselves in a tough situation. We wouldn't ever want somebody to do that. And so we want to make sure that you understand all the details that you might be getting into when it comes to that. So I'm going to use my pointer here a little bit. I've got a slide for each of these, so I'm not going to read through them here. So I'm going to continue on. If there's any questions, let me know. All right. So the conservative approach. This is going to be sell your current house, completely get it closed. You might need to find temporary housing. You're going to go rent, but you'll be a ready buyer, right? You're just like a renter or first home buyer. You have no strings attached. You can come and go as you please, hopefully from your rental situation as maybe month to month. And that'll make you kind of the most attractive buyer to a seller. So there's no other red tape and hassles about making sure that your other closes. And making sure that they select an offer that has the highest likelihood of closing. And when you're in multiple offers, that is something to consider. So when we look at the pros of this, you've got a minimal financial risk, right? There's no way possible you're going to end up with two mortgage payments because your house will already have been sold. You do get top dollar for your house because you're just going to sell it fully closed, and you can then choose a buyer based on any closing date or any other criteria that might be important to you. And you are then 100% ready to buy when the right house comes up. So if you are in a situation where you maybe don't know if a house is going to be available, or you're looking for a really specific property, and when it's the right property, you'll jump, but it's hard to predict when that will happen. This might be an approach for you to consider. So some of the cons with this approach are that you're going to have to move twice, right? You're going to have to spend extra money on rent. Any months that you spend on rent in the middle or can be looked at a little bit as a cost. And it can be hard to find a short-term flexible renter. I've seen some people live in like a VRBO situation, which then would be a really high rate of rent for a month of time or 2 months of time, depending on how long you're going to live there. It is possible to sell your current house and then have your purchase be subject to the successful closing of your property. Depending on how many offers you're competing against, that could be a viable choice. But from what we're seeing right now in the spring market, a seller is unlikely to choose that scenario where it's subject to the success of a different transaction when they have other property or other offers that don't have those same kind of limitations. Okay, no questions. Okay, good. So then we have, I should name these, but this is maybe an approach that's the least hassle but most expensive, which would be to buy on a contingency. So you write an offer subject to getting your home sold. Then you go ahead, you list your house, and we're kind of clever here. You pray that it works out right. You pray that the right buyer comes along, it's willing to match your, your needed or what your planned sale price is for that property. Also, that buyer, we want them to match closing dates. We want them to kind of fit in this box. And we also need a seller that's willing to take our offer that doesn't guarantee them a sale. If your house doesn't sell, they're back to the drawing board. So in a hot market, this is the most difficult situation. And I dare say right now, unless you're shopping in like a $2 million category, it's going to be really hard to get a seller to wait for you to get that lined up and have it something truly be contingent on the sale of another home. So you do have to put yourself out there a little bit more when it comes to how we craft these offers. You're going to have to make some type of commitment or take on some risk. So the pros are you only move if the stars align. Sometimes people are in a house they love and they only want to move if the other right property comes along. Otherwise, they're happy to stay. That's really just not that motivated seller in our mind, right? They would like to move, but they don't have to move. So their motivation level is lower. Somebody who is being evicted or, is moving out of state for a job and has to relocate, that is a very motivated person. They have to sell or they have to move. So that's the differential when we talk about motivated and unmotivated, is this person could likely be in the category of, I just don't really have to, but I would if the right house came up. So keeping that in mind, there then is no extra moves. You don't have to move twice, right? You're going to make an offer on that one, and then I'm going to sell mine and I'll try to match all those dates, right? You will also find the right home before committing to selling your current property, right? You didn't do the one I just described where you got it, sold it and completed it. And now you don't own a home. I don't want to ever use the word homeless, but you don't own one. So you'll need to find temporary housing with that other scenario. This one, you're not going to put yourself in that position. However, the cons of why this is most expensive is because you're going to often need to give the seller a little extra or definitely top dollar for the house for them to go on this risk ride with you. to roll the dice on whether you can sell your home or not. And they don't know you, remember, so they might require additional down payment or additional earnest money, or actually counter you with even a higher price than you came in with in order to make it worth their while. So then again, on the flip side, you might be inclined to price your property a little bit more aggressively to get it sold quickly, so we don't lose out on the house that we really want. And you might be inclined to take a price reduction or take a lower offer because you're incentivized to get this deal done and you don't want to lose it. So you tend to overpay a little bit to get them to go on the ride with you. And then you tend to take a little less from your house than you would have, or at least that feeling of some nervousness can set in where it can be a little more stressful. And can we all agree that it can be stressful enough to move? So those are the reasons why it kind of falls into our most expensive process, but it is the least amount of physical hassle when it comes to moving. Okay. Any questions? We're good? Okay. Low risk, low hassle. We like that. This can work because buyers are willing to do almost anything in this market to win a property. So this one I like for this market. This is going to be list and require a longer closing date or contingency on you finding the home of your choice. So we can put it on the market and potentially get 10 to 15 offers like you've been hearing about, and then tell people that you're interested in a buyer that would be willing to be flexible on closing date and allow you to go shopping to find the home of your choice. That's great. We can do that. However, you are now in multiple offers with it contingent on the successful sale of your current residence. So when you're in multiples making that offer on the new house, you are going to have a caveat in there and be back in camp number one of really needing to close on your other house first. So can make things difficult in a market like we're at. However, you do only move once. You don't have a firm commitment unless your property sells or unless you find a property, right? We can make it so that you could cancel if you don't find the right home, but it could limit the buyers that might be willing to wait. And do you cancel if the right property doesn't come up, right? Do you walk away from that sale? That will be something you'll have to consider. But you do also know, one of the pros is you know exactly what your house is going to sell for. That way you know exactly what you're going to have for your future down payment. There aren't the question marks around doing it in the other order, which we'll go to next, which is going to be go purchase and then sell if you can qualify for that. And with that, you maybe don't know what it will sell for. And you have to work off a best case scenario, worst case scenario range. And there can just be some feelings of discomfort with question marks when it comes to dollars available to move on to the next property. So it's something to consider. So my goal today is to go through these pros and cons of each scenario so that you understand kind of how this can work, because a lot of people haven't done it in a really long time. Okay, so this says risk tolerant or in a hot market. I kind of want to switch these around because in a hot market, you don't have to be that risk tolerant. You do take on some risk, but the risk in this market it feels very low. With the right advice and the right knowledge on what your home is worth, this can be a really safe route. This allows you to go find the right property first, still live in your current residence, make an aggressive, possibly get the best deal possible, at least when you're writing an offer on it, because you don't have a house to sell, right? You're going to be, I'm just coming to buy it. And then, so it'll ensure that you find the right next home, and you're only going to move once. So you're going to go find that perfect property, make an offer on it, get it under contract, and then go put your house on the market and then try to get it sold. So it's called buying non-contingent. And for right now, the majority of clients I work with can afford to do this, meaning they get qualified to do it by a mortgage company. So in order to buy their next house, they actually don't have to sell the other one. So we do have some loans in place that can help make this work, where you can borrow the equity, take out a short-term secondary mortgage, so that when used to be called a bridge loan or a swing loan. So if you have $100,000 of equity you want to put down on the new house, you take a small $100,000 loan. It's not really small, but $100,000 second mortgage out. And then you would only have that mortgage for a few weeks until you closed on the other house. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you an example of how this timeline works, because The risk that you might have two payments by owning two houses at the same time is going to occur 4 months after this whole thing starts. And most people feel really comfortable that even in the worst case scenario, they aren't going to own what they're currently living in for 4 months without getting it sold. So I'll show you what that looks like. So here's your timeline for buying non-contingent and then selling. So you're going to buy not contingent on the sale of your home, and then you're going to lock up that property, decide on a close date and everything. And then you're going to go ahead and list it, not because we're required to or it has anything to do with your contract, but just because you don't want two homes. So these occur simultaneously and yet separately, where each the set of documents don't rely on one another for success. So let's say today is June 15th. So here's the beginning of June. Here's June 15th. We find a house we like. Super excited. We write an offer, closing with 60 days. Realistically, right now, my clients are closing anywhere between 30 and 45 days. So maybe we go a couple weeks long. And in this scenario, this works. Otherwise, we could go 45 days and it doesn't change anything too drastically. But for this example, we're going to go 60 days. So hopefully you can make that happen in multiple offers. So then we're going to write an offer and we're going to have it close, new home close on August 15th. Now, this is going to be set like a normal transaction. You're just going to go through the steps. Well, here, we're going to list your current house. So right after we get this home all done, we're going to put your house on the market. We're going to actively market it. And usually, especially in this market, we're going to have it sold before July 1. But let's just say worst case scenario, you don't get it sold till August. Likely, you're closing then by the end of August or mid-September. If you close on your current home or the new home on August 15th, your first payment is due October 1st. So from June 15th, when you make the decision, your first payment, your house needs to close 1, 2, 3, 4 months before you'd ever have a payment due on your current house. Right? Technically, it's due October 15th, or it's considered late anytime after that. It's due on the 1st, but here's your window to make that payment. And so ideally, we need it all closed by here. We're going to be till October until we have two payments. And usually at the beginning of June, a lot of my clients and customers feel really comfortable that even if something drastically changed in the market, this isn't taking that large of a risk and puts them and their family in a single move situation by getting the best deal possible, locking up the home that they want, and being able to get a good price for their house. They have more time than in the other scenario where they feel like they might lose the house any minute, so they're a little more desperate for an offer. You can play the market strategically through here and feel like you got what you would have had, independently of this transaction above. So if your micro market of exactly where you're buying your new house or where your house lives, your current house, meaning the city, the price range, the school district, and even maybe the style, depending if it's a condo or townhouse. If that market is 90 days or less for average time to get it under contract, this is a pretty safe bet. Are you willing to price it at the current market conditions? If so, again, this is a pretty safe bet. If you answer yes to both of those, this might be the best financial route for you to go in this hot market so that you can make sure that you're excited and love the house that you're moving to. Make sure that you avoid some of those, well, you can't buy anything because everything's selling in multiple offers. So you then position yourself to where you're, again, only going to move if you find the right house. So this lets you a little bit, in my mind, for this market, have your cake and eat it too, and can be, the most beneficial route to do it. Okay. Questions? Average time to close. Yep, 30 to 45 days. In this, we're assessing a little bit longer. Even if we were to shorten it, you'd have 3 months to get your house sold before you at a double payment. And some of my clients okay, worst case scenario, I could easily make one or have 1 month that overlaps. So that gives them even an extra month in order to get to make this work. Okay. So here's the 4 ways to buy and sell again with the pros and cons compared. through that. I can certainly send you this as a snapshot, but you're welcome to watch the tape back. We'll send everybody the recording. Then we have our future workshops. Most of my workshops run about 30 minutes. This one is always a little shorter because I'm just talking about those 4 scenarios and going through it. But right now we do have these upcoming ones. You'll see a gap in our timing because I'm actually going on spring break and we're going to keep consistent. So my next one isn't until April 13th. And then we have the 27th and then May 11th. And you can see as we rattle through these. And of course, I'm always open and interested in helping you guys in between these conversations. So if you need anything, please let me know. I'm happy to communicate with everybody and make sure that they've got the right information, meaning I'm looking for my chat box so that I can put some details in the thing here. Hold on one second. I've got my attendees. I don't know where my chat box went. One second, chat. Okay, so I'm going to send this to you. This is going to be the list of all the upcoming events, so you can register via Eventbrite. You see them listed here, but I want to make sure you have them. So there, I just sent that in the chat box. And then also too, I really appreciate your time today. I know it's a lot to ask on a Friday or on a Tuesday night at 7. I try to make it as action-packed and as informational as possible. So if you liked what you heard today, please leave us a review. They do so much for my business, and that if you're looking to spread the word and help share some of our mission to make this process easier for everybody and help us contribute, that would be great. So feel free to invite other people along or leave us a review or remark online. I shared those also in the chat box. If you want to give us a review on Google or Facebook, that would just be awesome. So thank you. These are always fun and kind of weird because I don't get any interaction, but if you want, I am at the computer for the next hour or so, finishing up some other paperwork. I will put my cell number in the chat box. You feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm always happy via text or phone call to go through any information that you may have questions on. And we just want to make sure you're getting the right content. So if you don't already have somebody that you trust in real estate to help you with this process, please consider reaching out to us. We'd love to be your trusted source, and have a great night.